wasn't working illegal for international students in China. They could not find a job, even with a master's degree point system where you have to collect points. You would need at least 2 years of work experience. As a foreigner, we have this pressure called like visa pressure. Overtime is super normal for them. You have to be able to speak Mandarin. The interview is fully in Chinese, and the job is fully in Chinese.
Hi there, I forgot to do a self-intro, but anyways, hi, I'm Matt. I've been an international student in China, graduating soon, and I've done corporate internships every single summer for the past 3 years. So this video is an accumulation of my personal experiences and observations for the current Chinese job market, especially as a foreigner. So just take what you will with a grain of salt, and let's jump back into the video.
As an example, I am Chinese by ethnicity, but by passport, I'm not Chinese. And so living and sitting in China as a foreigner is a completely different experience than the locals. I have that foreigner privilege wherein I don't have to face the same amount of competitive pressure as the locals here do. But for the Chinese locals who had to go through the Gaokao, which is like the one exam in their life that kind of determines the path of their future, if they can get into a good school or not. And then you have the Jiubao University League, the C9 League, which is essentially China's equivalent of the Ivy League. And even these Ivy League graduates, they are struggling to get a decent job in the job market right now. You know, there's an article the other day I saw that, you know, master graduates in China, they are opting to do blue collar jobs like delivery Meituan workers simply because they could not find a job even with a master's degree. So it's crazy. Also because like China's population is huge, so the competition is just tough. But you know, despite all of these like negative circumstances, each Chinese person that I talk to, whether that be a friend or a classmate, they surprisingly have an optimistic mindset. And like, I don't understand where this optimism is coming from. Like, as someone who's not even going through the same pressure as them, I'm pessimistic, which I learn a lot from that. Because like, for example, when I ask like my Chinese classmate, like, hey man, how do you feel about the current job market right now? Because China's super competitive and you guys are like a lot. The pressure is like intense. And they're like, honestly, I don't think I need to have the most prestigious career out there. My parents will support whatever I choose to do in life, and I'm sure that they will support my dreams, but obviously I will like work hard, put in the effort for it, etc. And they're not really like worried as the media makes it like that bad. But I realized something from them is that perhaps they have been accustomed to this like super rigorous system from such a young age, to the point where their mental state has been conditioned to deal with this level of pressure, and they are used to not like being the best in their group, being the best in their community, because like China is filled with like extremely smart people that the next smart person will always be beat by the next smart person. You get what I mean? And so they have just like learned to adapt, to leverage their own strengths despite the really declining economic goal. Blush from Flower Nose. It's so pretty. Oh my god, it's so pretty. Yeah, because I have been low-key kind of spoiled living in China, because first of all, the living cost here is so much cheaper than back in Jakarta, and I get to have like higher purchasing power if I live in China, which is like one of the main reasons why I wanted to live in China. Is I get to not struggle that much about expenses in like food, daily necessities as a girl, like clothes, makeup, hair, blah blah blah. But in Jakarta, all the prices are rising, but our salaries are not. It's a cream type. Let me de-influence you guys from China. I see online that a lot of people are in a very Chinese time of their lives, and you know, with all the chinamaxxing trend going on, which is great, because like as someone who's Chinese but you know didn't grow up in China, I grew up very disconnected from my own like cultural heritage. I went back to China for my undergraduate just to reconnect with my culture, and like I'm finally like I'm sharing that joy with you guys. Like the world is finally seeing China beyond all the propaganda and all that noise. But at the same time, because now there's so much content online about how amazing China is, especially like in the travel industry, you know, with the increase in international students in China, I kind of just want to take a quick reminder to everyone that what you see online is very different from reality, especially if you want to go to the very top league universities in China, the 985 or the C9 League. The competition, the academic pressure, and just like the stress that comes with it all, it's not really broadcasted online as authentically as it should, because even as foreigners, okay, like granted, we're not subjected to the same amount of pressure that the locals do, but as a foreigner, we have this pressure called like visa visa pressure, right? Like we can't get work visas as easily, especially for fresh graduates like me, right? Like I'm graduating my bachelor's degree in a month or so. How the work system is for foreigners in China is that there's a point system where you have to collect points to essentially validate your application to get a visa. If you pass that like certain threshold of points, then only you can get the visa. For example, like a bachelor's degree graduate, you would need at least 2 years of work experience. That's like a huge reason, an insanely huge reason why I chose to pursue my master's degree in China, specifically in a top university, right? And so it would increase my chances of getting the work visa in the future, because even the league of the university matters. Yeah, other than the work visa, you have to be able to speak Mandarin, right? Like unless you want to teach English in China, which is completely fine, but as someone who wants to go into the tech industry and work different types of like roles, like I want to try strategy, I want to try product, etc., you do have to speak Chinese. There are cases where you don't have to speak Chinese, but come on now, let's just be realistic. What are the odds of that it's a good salary, it's a good like job, etc.? There exists, but it's just not a lot. For foreigners like me, the job is always bilingual. And don't even get me started on the work culture in China. Overtime is super normal for them. I used to be a workaholic, so I didn't mind working overtime, but I think as I get older, and I mean older, like my back cracks when I wake up in the morning, I start to appreciate work-life balance. And like I think to myself, if I do the corporate race in a culture where overtime is like, it's not glorified, but it's the point where, you know, my intern friends, they don't dare to go home first before their managers go home. They would wait, like even though low-key they're kind of done with their work, they would look for more work. It's just a very high productivity culture, which has both its pros and cons. But yeah, I don't know, maybe as I start to get older, I just wanted to have a job that has more work-life balance. For those of you guys who want to come study in China, that's great. It's amazing. Please do come and study in China. See for yourself, experience it for yourself. But let me remind you that school life and work life in China are two completely different things. And it all comes back to like what you want to do after school. Like, do you want to work back in your home country, or do you want to work in China, or do you want to work in other countries? Based on your destination, you do have to like adjust your CV and your positioning in the market for that destination market that you want to go to. And for those of you who are asking, like, isn't working illegal for international students in China? Well, it depends, because white collar jobs like corporate internships, they are the most legal jobs that you can get as a student, because they require a work visa. Now this work visa is different from the full-time hires, because we're just interns, and it falls under the category of type C. So there's like type A, B, and C. Type A, if I'm not mistaken, is for the experts, like the insanely experienced foreign talents. And these are usually easier to get. The more you have experience, the more like if you're needed in like certain industries such as ESG, engineering, tech, AI, medicine. But type B is usually where majority of the population falls under, which is like the normal graduates with like few years of work experience, Gen Z, millennials, right? Type C is for the short-term work, such as interns, which is me. And I have had an internship visa for like 3 separate occasions here in China. I wouldn't say are like easy to get. They're not easy to get, but they're also not impossible to get, right? As long as you meet the requirements and the paperwork, where you are interning at a position that is related to your major, and like your school and the company both approves of this like internship placement, then you can get it. And the immigration office just, you know, has to approve of your paperwork. But anyways, my point is, where was I going with this? So let's say you work part-time at a bar or at a retail store, at a restaurant. Now that's illegal, because those are like blue-collar jobs, and usually either way, right, it's hard to get jobs like those anyway, because like usually the managers would ask for a shenzhen, which is like the Chinese identity card, and we only have huzhao, right? We only have passport, so like it wouldn't work unless, you know, the managers don't really care. Because I tell you, like the managers of these restaurants or like retail stores, if they are caught hiring foreigners, passport holders, they also get fined. Like their business permits could get redacted. Like it's also risky for them to hire foreigners. So unless they're like super desperate on like the extra labor, then they would prefer to hire their locals, you know, obviously. So if you guys are like serious on building your careers and working in China, then you have to start from student life, right? You have to start with the internships in China, white collar internships, and that's like the best way to position yourself within the Chinese market. I use Peri Para. Ta-da! Peri Para. Oh my god, this shade is so pretty. And also I just wanted to preface that everything that I share with you guys in this video is coming from a Gen Z's point of view, a really like fresh graduate. So I cannot speak for the entire working population. Okay, so don't come at me in the comments like saying, hey, this is not the case for me, this is not the case for me. Well, if it's a better case for you, I'm genuinely happy for you. And please share your knowledge in the comments so that we can all like grow and, you know, experience new things together. Like China, I feel so comfortable in China. It's not racist at all, like for the most part from my experiences and from my foreign friends' experiences. You can look up a lot of like black content creators, Western content creators in China, and they actually make content in like on the streets and like in real life settings, and the Chinese are not like racist or like rude or discriminatory against them. The attitude that I noticed from the Chinese is that towards us foreigners, whether we're a different color, different race, different look, I don't care, they are super curious, right? That's their main attitude. Like they're not even hostile, they're not even like suspicious, they're just confused. They're curious about you such that they would keep asking you questions like, where are you from? What are you doing here? Oh, and they're super patriotic, where they would ask like, how do you think living in China is like? What do you like about China? And then obviously we would say like, oh, I love the culture here, I love the food, etc. And like the conversation goes from there. They really like hearing foreigners' perspectives on their country. They feel very proud, and me as a foreigner, like I feel very welcomed as well. Like yeah, it's just like, it's an experience that you do have to try when you come here. And granted, not every single person in the entire population is like welcoming, but for the past 3 years that I've been here, I can say that I have had a positive experience from the locals. And I know what you're gonna say, you look Asian, you look like one of them. That's true, but 当我说中文的时候，他们会听得到我是外国人，因为我的口音不是那么标准嘛，我的发音不是那么准确。So they would ask me, "Hey, are you from Malaysia?" They would always guess like I'm either from Malaysia or Singapore. I don't know, Indonesian. Oh, because they know that Indonesians can't really speak Chinese. They know from the history that Singaporeans and Malaysians can speak Chinese like really well. But yeah, other than that, they would actually guess that I'm from Hong Kong or Taiwan because I think my accent is quite of like the Guangdonghua accent, but I don't know. Okay, next we're gonna highlight our nose with the NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil. I've been using this since like high school, bro. They go for masters immediately after their undergraduate degrees, and it's because the job market right now is so bad that just having a undergraduate diploma is not enough to get you a decent job. Like they want a master's degree. And as someone who is constantly swiping on these job apps in China, I always see the job requirements listing out a master's degree or a master's student, right, currently reading their master's degree, and then they want like what, 1 or 2 years worth and they want like 1 or 2 years worth of experience. Okay, next we're gonna set everything with this super amazing setting spray. It's from Premi, but get like the stylist makeup, okay, the makeup artist setting spray, because it really locks in. I mean, obviously it won't last 24 hours, you know, it's not like a magical product, but it's quite good. Actually, comment down below if you guys want me to like break down a job description from an actual job post here in China, because I don't swipe on Tinder, but I swipe on Shenzhen, which is essentially like a job hunting app. Another big one is called Boss Japan in China, and it's essentially like Tinder, bro, except they don't match you back, they ghost you. Or maybe that is Tinder in real life, I don't know, I've never tried. And you know what's funny about these job posts is that like a huge requirement that I see in a lot of them is the English proficiency must be super good, must be super fluent. So whenever I see a job post that has that requirement, I'm thinking to myself like, okay, so they must be more welcoming to foreigners, right? Because like they want someone who's a good English speaker. That was my thought process. But then when I went for the interview was fully in Chinese, and the job is fully in Chinese. So I guess like that description is mostly directed towards the locals. They just wanted to guarantee that the locals that they're hiring can speak English when the circumstances need them to, but it does not mean that the job is in English. I had to learn that the hard way. Let me tell you, like my Chinese is nowhere near native level, so whenever I do 面试, which is like interviews, right, like formal job interviews, I end up using Chinglish, and granted, like it's never got me fired or anything like that, but it's completely okay to use Chinglish in a job interview. They understand that you are a foreigner. They don't expect like perfect level Chinese from you. But then again, it also depends on like the company and the interviewer. But hey man, I'm telling you, as someone who's been in China for the past 3 years and I've done maybe like 100-ish interviews, I've been using Chinglish, bro. Like my Chinese is really, 我觉得我中文真的不好，但是还够好可以通过面试，但是也不是说100%我做这个面试都是全中文的，因为可能有一些概念我不知道中文的词汇叫什么，所以我直接用英文来代替它，然后那个面试官也会听得懂我。只要是双方都可以互相沟通的话，我觉得不管是中文英文双语，你结合在一起也行。这是从我的经验哈，但是我不知道就是可能一些大厂他们的要求会比较高。People usually suggest that you rent in Shenzhen. You live in Shenzhen, but you work in Hong Kong, so you earn in Hong Kong dollars, but you spend your life in Chinese yuan. that is amazing because the currency rate is, yep, there's a huge difference. Besides, Shenzhen is such an attractive city for tech. Like seriously guys, like if we are living in a tech driven world, AI is everywhere, go to Shenzhen. Go to Shenzhen because it's the Silicon Valley of China. I'm sure you guys seen like all those like super cool tech videos, the very futuristic cities of China where, you know, they can deliver food with a drone. That's Shenzhen. Okay, so for finance, economics, and marketing, these three, Shanghai is best for you. If you want to go to e-commerce, go to Hangzhou. That's like the e-commerce like hub in China. Alibaba is there, right? There's an Alibaba school for e-commerce in Hangzhou. And then for tech, AI, all the tech bros, they go to Shenzhen. Like the AI bubble in China, the Silicon Valley, it's in Shenzhen. And then for Beijing, from what I know, is more towards the political sciences, public policy, law. It's in Beijing. Okay, I'm done with my makeup and pretty much done with my yapping as well. I hope that some of my information could be helpful for you guys, and please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Please be nice though, because I'm just like a random girl on the internet with feelings as well. So yeah, if you have anything you want me to talk about in my next video, just comment them down below, and feel free to subscribe so that you can hear more information like this, I guess, in China. I don't know, I'm just a random Gen Z here. So yeah, bye bye, thank you so much for being here with me. Have a nice day.